the realest, best podcast in the game.
So how would you be able to leave but not quit?
What you mean?
That's what you just said. You said if you're...
I was saying like so I don't have to quit.
Oh,
Meaning
so you
if
don't have
they
to
put us
quit.
under somebody else, I'm going to quit.
Oh, okay.
Because no, it's not. Because 9 times out of 10, or maybe like 6 times out of 10, they're probably trying to put us under Shannon. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care who it is I'm talking to, whether it's Nathan, who is the director of facilities, or Chris, who's the director of operations, whoever issued the order. It's not gonna happen. So, holla at y'all. I appreciate you for everything you did. Actually, I don't, because y'all ain't do nothing except make my life horrible.
Oh my God, Drew.
Yeah. I remember one time we was this was about 2 weeks ago. There's this lady who works with it's like a Spanish organization called HACER, HACER, and they asked for a stage in a building which is B building, which is like where the president's office is and stuff like that. So they asked for that, and they got the stage, but they asked us to put it in a corner where you can't hook up any mics. And we set something up the day before, but they didn't know that the kids from student involvement had their own setup. So they brought all their, because it was live music, so they brought their instrument speakers, all their mics and stuff like that. So they were assuming that they were going to be able to do it that way, but they didn't know that the AV people didn't set it up, because I heard them go ask the AV people as I was walking by the AV little office for this certain conference room. They was like, "Hey, did you guys set up for so and so yesterday?" I'm like, "Yeah, we ain't do that." And so in my head, I'm like, y'all should have known that. But they waited till 3:50 when we are parking the trucks and walking to our cars to go home. And Chris calls us like, "Hey, can you guys come move the stage back over to where it usually goes?" And this is why we were like, we probably should put the stage over there, because, that's where the stuff is, the panel is. But they were like, "No,
Now you're wasting y'all's time."
And look, I'm all for wasting time, because that means free money. I don't like wasted energy, because I can't get that back. And I be getting nicked, bro. Like, there's, how like if you jam your finger, you got like a mark under your nail?
Yeah.
I have a mark under my toenail that has been there for like 5 months. I don't even remember what did it. That's how long it's been there. And I'm like, I thought you were like laughing. I didn't know what that was just then. I did press the button though, so we are recording. Yeah. And I'll put that closer to you so you can like read it if you need to, yeah. Because I thought you was going to have your laptop with you, and sometimes if your laptop is in front of you, it's like behind it. So that way you can how long you've been going.
Stupid. Is it like completely imperative to mention that we're behind schedule when everybody knows it?
Is Christian coming back?
Probably. Maybe sometimes, every now and again, when he can.
All over the world right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Doing what he loves. Shout out to my big bro.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him.
They finished second. They got all the way to the championship, beat a team that they lost to twice. Made it to the championship, but they couldn't get it done. But they did, they still do get a ring. It's just, the loser's ring. That's a joke.
All right. No.
Well, we was watching the game to get to the championship. We was watching it like on your mom and Quan and I. We was all watching it live. We was in the chat. We was like, "Stop with the turnovers! Y'all just don't want it. Just do this thing. Run that clock down." We was.
Oh my gosh.
We was going in, but yeah, we were so happy they won and was able
Yeah.
It is. To make it to the dance is a big accomplishment in any
Especially
sport,
his
any
first
level.
year they're doing that.
Right, like, and that just shows the precedent that's being set. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you what, another a professional team that has gone through that recently, you know, the Eagles. I wanted the Eagles to win because they got 2 Bama boys on the team, so you know I'm riding with my hometown, not my hometown, my home hope. I don't know what to call it. My home hopeful, because I'm definitely not from Alabama. They be loving on their siblings and cousins over there. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Bro, I seen a clip of somebody going to Alabama and interviewing people and asking them, and like he got more yeses than nos.
I didn't hear a lot of that.
So
I heard all of the home stuff. That's where you lost me.
I said, you know, I am not from Alabama because they be loving on siblings and cousins over there. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, yo, I just seen a clip of somebody who went to Alabama and was asking native Alabamans, like, does that happen for real? And he got more yeses than nos.
Yeah, because it really happens.
I know, but I'm just like, you know, we make the joke, but like, a lot of people don't think it be happening.
No, it definitely happens.
But, you know, ain't nobody seen no concrete evidence like that. And the
That
people he
happens.
asked, you look at him, you like, yeah. This one dude was like, well, my grandma had 15 kids, so I had a lot of cousins. I was like, you need to be locked up. What is your problem? How do you just say that? And that's what...
People, a lot of them don't be thinking that doing it like, with your cousin is not bad. They be like,
yeah,
it's
that's the
distant
problem.
enough.
That is
Cousin's
the problem.
not distant enough.
It's not.
First of all, if you know that you're related, there is no distance great enough.
That's a fact.
Like,
That is a fact.
it really doesn't matter. I think it's weird when people, well, specifically black people in America, like, date someone who has the same last name as them.
Ew,
Because
yeah, I couldn't do that.
even just the chance that y'all came from the
That's
same
gross.
plantation, like, don't even have to be related.
Yeah.
If my family and your family was on the same plantation, that's
Yeah,
still too close for me.
that's-
Like,
that's a
we
lot.
too related for my taste. Like,
Yeah.
it's just hilarious.
I actually have, like, even though, you know, they found me on Facebook, aside from my family, I've never met anybody just in the world with my last name.
Yeah, you got the last name Buckmire.
Buckmire.
Have to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of Gates.
Unless
down
they're
there,
white.
So.
Because
Y'all too, Drew.
I can't be. You forget Trinidad is where Willie Lynch was operating, and where the Willie Lynch theory, you know, came from. They used to send bad, like, slaves that they couldn't break. They used to send them to Trinidad to him. Yeah, and then he would send them back. So, like, that was like a
That seems like a lot of work
It is.
to
Do you-
break a slave.
if
Like,
you got money-
at that point, I would think you would just
if
do
you
it
got
with-
money, you got to think
It's
of,
definitely cheaper to kill them.
like,
it's definitely for sure definitely cheaper to
wasting
kill
money,
him.
like,
But
what's
at
going
the
on?
same time, you like, and sometimes it was a punishment. Sometimes like they would ship them off there, and yeah, that's it. But he would break some, and you know, at the behest of other slave people.
Moving to Jim Plantation would be scary.
Yeah. And how long it took me to realize like what the name was, and then look at it and like, yo, those are 2 cotton things. It's cotton. I don't kernels. What do you call like a
Plant.
Yeah, I don't know.
bushel? I guess it's
Cool,
like
that
3
works.
cotton balls on the stem
Yeah.
and on either side, and it's like I think I was like 6th grade whenever we learned about the cotton gin. A little over a week after I got home, I was like, you know, looking at it as we was driving. I was just like, wait a second, that's crazy.
Speaking of the cotton gin, I'm only saying this because while at work this week, the cotton gin came up in one of my classes, and I guess that's confusing for the viewers. I have a new job. I no longer work at the hotel.
Oh,
I was about to say, you already started?
Yeah, I started last Thursday. So I now am a paraprofessional teacher at a school. I won't say the school because even that is giving y'all too much information.
That's a fact.
But
But congratulations.
Facts. Step up.
I guess. But yeah, and so I want to ask y'all, when y'all like learned about the cotton gin and like Eli Whitney specifically, like what did they tell you he did?
They told us,
it was very simple.
yeah, that
He invented the
there
cotton
was
gin.
picking cotton was very brutal.
Mm-hmm.
The seeds cut your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So Eli Whitney somehow developed this machine
Mm-hmm.
to separate the cotton from the seeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically the same thing. There was like not that much.
That
more
nigga did
detail
not
besides
invent the
that.
cotton gin. The cotton gin already existed. He just improved it to make it a better system.
So he just improved it to like make it a.
I don't really know what his
Dial.
improvement was, but he didn't invent it. And it existed for like a minute. Like it's not even like it was new and he made an improvement. Like it had been out. I don't know a single person in my age range who was taught that he made an improvement to the cotton gin. They just told us he invented the cotton gin.
Yeah,
They just be lying.
They do.
they do. They're
Like I had
about to
textbooks
lie.
that said Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That is a lie. And I
crazy.
learned that
I
while
did not
listening
know
to
that.
a teacher teach 4th grade. Which like good for the next generation getting the
Yeah.
truth, but like
Yeah.
I literally,
about
had,
us?
I literally had to sit there and act like I knew that too. I was like, yeah. I said, he did what? Excuse me?
That's hilarious. Oh, the kids
I
back at
couldn't
recess,
believe
hey,
it.
Kids go to lunch. Hey, you for real? Between me and you,
Like, I was baffled. I couldn't believe. I was like, yo, they just be straight up lying.
that is
They don't
crazy.
care.
Yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
like it's so much. Like how I forgot that, you know, not recently, but this had happened years ago. But like they're actively changing definitions of a lot of things. They changed the definition of the Big Bang Theory, and I didn't realize that. I had
So what?
forgotten that they changed it. You know, it used to be two atoms flying through space, hit each other, collide, boom. That's the Big Bang. And now it's and it was a lot more extensive in, like, you know, there's soup, some sort of primordial soup, and then all this other stuff. But now it's different. And I remember having a conversation with somebody and was like telling them what we were taught, and he was like, I just watched a video about Neil deGrasse Tyson saying this. And I was like, when did you watch that? And he was like, a few months ago. I was like, that's why. Like, this is what they were taught this is what we were taught in schools, and not as theory, as fact. Because the Big Bang Theory is what they called it, but they taught it to us as fact. And like,
That's
he
technically
was
what a theory is when it's scientific.
no, a fact and a theory are two different things.
When it's
That is true,
scientific
but
based, like a theory, they treat it
everything
as a
in
fact.
science, is a
Yeah,
They
theory.
just
but-
call it a theory,
but they teach
but-
it.
Yeah.
There's language has meanings. I mean, words and languages have meanings, regardless of what they're doing. Like, I understand that concept, and I'm not like denying that exists. But if I say this is my theory, this is my theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, theory of relativity, theory of this, theory of that, theory of that. They all taught us that as fact, and because they teach us the way they want us to view science, that's exactly how we take it. But if you're telling me one thing that I can observe, look, and I can prove facts, if I can't prove a theory, it is not a fact. So why are you teaching it to me as a fact?
Well, because you can test theories and
That's what they do.
Yeah,
like,
you
so
can't
like
test them.
inertia, right? Like, which is like a physical thing that exists and we like witness it. Like, it's technically a theory, but I guess under most circumstances, it always works. Like, every time anyone's ever been like, let's see if inertia is real, it inertias. So they'd be like, and I get what you're saying, but I guess
But like you said, they lie.
No,
and
yeah,
there
for
is
sure.
and it's also for a reason. Like, they don't lie not by accident. Like, it's not an accident that somebody's like, oh, we're gonna put this in textbooks, even though it's never been 100% proven, and it is a postulate. You know what I'm saying? Just how, like, nobody actually knows the way that we describe how viruses go around is a postulate. It's not a fact. Like, that didn't come up until coronavirus and all that other stuff. Like,
Ain't
plenty
nobody
of
ever even
doctors
told
were
me how
saying,
viruses go around.
and we not gonna know that because, first of all, we not going into that industry. You know what I'm saying? You only learn that if you go into that. But like, people who, you know, handle diseases and stuff like that, and like handle viruses, understand that, one, that's not true. And then we all know that they was lying about half the stuff that came out anyway. They told us that it could survive on surfaces for up to 2 days.
Man, they
after
was saying,
touching it.
like-
they was
Oh, there's
saying
a lot
anything,
about that.
cuz.
Man, I remember when it was first dropping, the numbers they was throwing around sounded so astronomical. Like,
It's like, cuz.
it was like if someone, I seen an example of why, like, it was saying why the grocery store was so dangerous, and it was talking about different types of like surfaces, and it was saying how, like, It survived on cereal boxes for like 24 hours and like cans for like 72 hours. I was just like,
How y'all know
bro,
this?
what?
How y'all know this?
This is so long. Like, why is it so strong? It's so impervious.
Why you just trying to make us scared of it? That is crazy. Dang it. There was something else that I just thought of as you were saying that.
I while you were talking about the Big Bang theory and everything, I've never been taught the Big Bang theory in school ever.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, like usually
I think you were. When did you get in Georgia? Was that 6th grade? That was 8th grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, by that time it was that's earth science, and we learned that in 6th grade.
Yeah.
So you
because I've never taken earth science a day in my life.
Oh.
Because of the difference. I took chemistry twice in middle school because we took chemistry in 7th grade.
Too. We got to high school.
Yeah, I took.
Thank God. That's it. We didn't. I know I didn't touch chemistry until I got to high school. I don't know if
earth science, physical science was 8th grade. 7th grade.
What was 7th grade?
I also didn't ever take. I took
grade
physics
was
in high
biology?
school. I never took it in.
Now I got to think of like my 7th grade.
I think 7th
teachers.
grade was biology because I remember dissecting
Frog.
yeah.
I've never dissected a frog.
Did you ever dissect anything?
Never dissected
Well, that
anything.
stunk.
I had to dissect a fetal pig, an owl, and then the frog, and a prawn. I don't know. And the
What is
prawn
that?
was random. It's like a big shrimp.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what a prawn is.
Yeah.
I've never dissected
What? Bless you.
anything a
What'd
day in
you
my
ask me?
life.
Bless you.
Oh, okay.
I've never dissected anything
It
a day in my
sounded
life.
like she said something like, but she was asking you the price of something. Like it sounded like it was just like she was looking at his phone. Did you see something for $18.99? That was funny.
Nah, yeah, I've never dissected anything.
It's not.
I remember there was people who were like, "Yo, my frog like had lunch. Like it was like we pulled out some flies." I'm like, "Yo, I did not cut
Ew.
my dog's stomach open. I ended up having to do it all because people was just. I think I had one person in my group was a girl and the other person in my group was just squeamish. So like I'm literally like cutting the thing open. I remember poking the flap and like peeling it back and pinning it with his hand like this. So I'm like full doctor mode, just like kind of disregard. I'm like, I'm trying to get a grade, so kind of forget all this. It wasn't like, it didn't really like do nothing to me because it was dead. To me, like if it's no like blood gushing, it's cool. Like, you know what I mean?
I genuinely like.
It is stink though.
I always thought this when I would see it on TV, and then the fact that I never did it, I thought it was one of those things that only kids in like TV school do. Until I met people who really did it.
Yeah.
But for the life of me, like, can somebody please explain what children are supposed to gain from this lab? Like, why are you dissecting anything?
They tell us to pull out certain organs.
Yeah, that's
and
literally
that's
it.
your
But
brain.
what does that do?
This has no benefit.
We're learning
what do you-
about. We were.
reason.
All right, so
I think
while
they literally just be throwing it on there.
While you think of an answer to that, welcome back to the YSO Podcast, a podcast for the youth, by the youth, being the voice of the youth by giving a voice to the youth. You already know who I am, man. It's your boy. Government says Emmanuel. They know me as Saint Even. You could just call me God's favorite.
I'd be questioning it a lot, but that
Everybody
was
is
fun to me, so I didn't
Ashton.
question. Oh, that's hilarious. That was brainwashing in some way, shape, or form. That's hilarious.
I already went.
Oh, I thought we was
She already went.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. I was still thinking about the fact that we did that for no reason. Dang, man. It's a few people I want to be, but I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna go with the safe option because, my man's stepping back down March 4th, you feel me? 2 days, you know what I'm saying? The entire world
exactly
is about to be flattened. You feel me? Because they messed with the wrong
Rumbling,
child.
rumbling.
You heard me.
Rumbling.
Eden Yeager.
I listen to that song a lot.
For real?
Yeah.
Bruh, I watched
I
the
really
entire
love it.
4th season over, and like as I'm listening to the the intro, I'm just like, yo, they do
What
so
show are you
far.
talking about?
Attack on Titan.
Oh, I'm like, how you Aaron Yeager? I watched
How you
like
don't
3
know who-
episodes of the first season. That was it.
3? Wait,
Yeah.
the first one is the wall breaking. How do you not get like see that and it's like what is this? And keep going.
I don't know.
She did for 2 more episodes,
Yeah.
and then she stopped.
I wish I could. I
long.
wish I knew what it was that made you like say, "Nah, I'm not really."
There
going."
is no reason. It's just I'll be watching other stuff.
I feel it. It does. If it doesn't hook you immediately, it does take a minute to get like to the point where you're like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah.
And but like if once it hooks you immediately, the part where you're like, "Oh, this is great," is like a big reveal of some sort that I'm not gonna spoil for anybody who decides to go watch it. But if it hasn't already been spoiled for you already, but yeah, that is interesting. That is very interesting.
I had a few things from my least favorite. Well, like a few candidates, but they all went out the window when I saw something 2 days ago on Twitter, and it's the first time I've ever seen the announcement for like the premiere of a season of a show that not only I watch but that I'm a huge fan of, and got angry about it. And this is something that I've like talked about here and there in short, never at length on the podcast. So God's favorites, least favorite this week is the fact that Dave season 3 is coming like next month or May, one of those two. And for those of you who don't know, Dave is Little Dicky's TV show about him being Little Dicky essentially. And why is it my least favorite if I love this show? And I do love this show. It's like an amazingly well written show, extremely entertaining. Because after season 2, Little Dicky went around every radio station and every publication promoting the season, and he swore on basically everything under the sun that the Little Dicky sophomore album would be coming before Dave season 3.
And now you have seen the trailer for Dave season 3, and there is no sophomore album.
And furthermore, beyond the fact that he lied, I'm now at the point where, why do I want to watch your television show about you being a rapper when you're not even a rapper?
That's funny. That's
That is true.
Like
but he still
I'm
got time,
positive. Got time to do what? Drop the album?
Yeah.
That's if it's
He
done.
only announced the season. It's not out yet.
That's if it's done. You know how long in advance rappers like.
No, but you don't know what he doing.
He's not Beyonce.
He don't gotta be Beyonce.
Drop.
It could be done. He just might not be saying nothing.
He's not about to just drop. Nobody's about to just listen to a Lil Dicky album they find.
I mean, they're not, but
That's my least favorite. You can keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. And then, of course, the other thing, like beyond just the show aspect of it, is the very real conversation, and this is kind of what I've spoke about before, that people had about Little Dicky, because when Little Dicky first came onto the scene, he made it very clear that he always wanted to be a writer and an actor and like a comedian, and that's really where his passion was. And you know, everyone who's one of those leery individuals was like, here's this white man who's going to use our culture as a way into him doing the really white thing that he actually wants to do that has nothing to do with our culture. And he swore up and down that he really is a rapper who's passionate about rapping. He just also has passion in other areas. And as someone who's like passionate in multiple areas, like I can understand that, especially his areas are ones that are similar. I'm an actor, I'm a writer. And I not necessarily, I never really defended him, but I did believe him that he was someone who really was going to prioritize both of these careers, and more importantly, would not even let the door remain open for the conversation of this man is a leech, this man is a vulture, this man used hip hop to gain a following and gain a position to then do the thing that he truly always wanted to do. You know, a la MGK, you know, that's been the conversation about him the last 3 years, because he was a rapper, and I mean, he still is a rapper, but he started making punk rock music and was like, this is the true music I've always been meant to make. I've never been more honest and vulnerable and a greater artist than right here and now. He was like, then why'd you do all that rapping? White boy. And yeah, Dave season 3's announcement just really, it really just put the nail in the coffin for me. Am I gonna watch it? Yeah, because I love the show. But it's put me in the position now where if there ever does come another Lil Dicky album, I'm probably not going to listen to that, which is unfortunate. I really like Professional Rapper. I think it's a really well-made album, and I think Lil Dicky's a good rapper, and he like fills a very singular niche. But yeah, I don't care. And also, I now am in the position where I feel like this third season is just like fan fiction. Like, brother, you're not a rapper.
Not
like,
living this for real.
what are you going to show us? Like the end of season 2 was you performing at the VMAs, something you never did. Like, you're already ahead of your actual rap career inside of the show. Like, you're killing me, bro.
That is funny.
So yeah, that's my least favorite. And that's the kickoff. I have a very interesting question for y'all.
What's up?
When you're driving, what are you looking at?
I look at.
It depends on the day. Well, okay, because
The road is a very general response. I'm asking specifically, what are your eyes set on? And it depending on the day is very interesting.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, like, you know, sometimes you get to your destination, you're like, dang, how did I get here? And that's because maybe you're having a bad day. Maybe you're just zoned out, or you're just like, oh, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm not even thinking about nothing. I'm just going. So on those days, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know what I'm looking at. Hopefully the road. I got to my destination safely. On a normal day, bumper stickers, tail lights, big trucks, like anything that stands out on the road, or I'm messing with my dial and changing my music. Yeah.
I only look like, I kind of cycle through the same things, and I think for me it's just more situational, because like in my head there's like, you know, driving for so long, you know, you see a lot of stuff over and over because people are stupid, one, and two, you know, a lot of people, it's a lot of older people that live in Gwinnett, so there's a lot of slow drivers. And so for the most part, what I look at is I go back and forth between the car in front of me, my left mirror, like if I'm in the right lane, you know, my left mirror to see where the car next to me is and the next lane is, because I'm watching that one, I'm watching that mirror to, and also looking up at where the car in the lane in front of me is. So if they're moving faster than where I'm at, I can time the lane switch. So it's like that both ways. Like I look at my I only really look at my rear view mirror if like I'm about to merge. Like that's the first one I look at to see where they at, and then I look there, and then I look to make sure they're not in my blind spot. So I think that's just because I do that like in life though. Like I look at a lot of stuff just moving, because I'd like to be aware of my surroundings. So for the most part, it goes mirrors, car in back, car in front. And then if I'm like in a single lane road, I'm just, if I'm not looking at I don't want to say, because for the most part I'm not really paying attention to the car in front of me unless they're driving slow. If they're driving slow, then I'm probably looking at just the car and praying, like trying to use my brain power to hope they going somewhere other than where I'm going, even though it don't often work. I just ride behind them, and then when they turn, I'm like, thank God, and just go. But yeah, what do you look at?
So unlike, I guess in all it's situational, but not really for me. I'm almost always looking at the ground in front of me.
Like right directly in front of you?
I mean, essentially, yeah. Like where my car is about to be, but the ground. I only look at the car in front of me if they give me a reason to. So like you said, if they're driving slow, if I, while looking at the ground, see that their lights are on, like their brake lights.
Yeah.
Or if there's like something particularly unique or interesting that like will catch my eye about the vehicle, that's very seldom. Like one time I was behind a car while I was out in Kennesaw, and they had a Jesus was a homo bumper sticker.
Oh my god.
And that just caught my eye, and then I was like, that's weird. And went back to looking at the ground. I asked that question because I didn't know that I spend most of my time while driving looking at the ground until this week. I used to just think that like, oh, I'm like, you know, cars around me, this, that, whatever the case may be. But I really realized that like most of the time I'm actually looking at the literal ground, and it felt dangerous. Like once I consciously realized it, it felt like I was doing the wrong thing. Like I wasn't putting my eyes where they probably should have been most economically.
So it's not that bad. I feel like if you were a very avid speeder, that would be horrible. But you're not.
Probably.
You're a very reasonable driver.
But another thing that made it interesting was me realizing that it doesn't really matter what the like setup of traffic is. Like I can have a car in front of me, or it can be completely open. I can be on the street, or I can be on the interstate. But I realized that I look at the ground so much because I think
in the cab, so
well, and that kind of lends to the reason. I think in my brain, like absolutely the greatest hazard to you while you're driving is other 2-3 ton vehicles being operated by someone you do not know.
Right.
But in my brain, I think like I just have like more wherewithal to react and deal with those. But whatever's on the ground, like if I wait, like if I don't see it, it may really do me in. So I need to see it.
I figured. And I figured that's what along the lines, that's what your thought process was, because that makes sense. Like even though, because I do find times where I'm like looking at the ground in the sense of like, you know, the curvature of the line and like, you know what I'm saying, like how the road is for sure. But you know, I don't spend too much time, but I definitely do spend time looking at the ground. Like, but then again, you know, I used to drive SUVs, so like I used to be propped up. Now that I'm in a sedan, I have to kind of look up over it to actually look at the ground. So like now my eyes are naturally just kind of up, which is, but it definitely does make sense. And also like you lived in the cab, since you got here, so like you only thing you know is these roads need to be fixed. So like it makes sense. It like, you know, even though you leave the cab, you still have that mindset because you're just used to it. Like, so I don't think you should be like, you know, scared or anything.
I wasn't scared. I just was like, I'm positive like this isn't right. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure like there's a more economic thing my eyes should be looking on, like safety wise. So. But I just was like, this is kind of just what I do. This is life.
One thing I've always kind of like a rule of thumb I just keep for myself: as long as I can see the back tires of the car in front of me, it really doesn't matter about anything else.
Yeah.
Because if I can see their back tires, and that means I'm far back enough that I can get around them if something happens to that car, or if like they don't want to move, and like, you know what I'm saying, and we just so happen to be stopped. But yeah, that's a very interesting question. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Once I realized it, I was like, man, I wonder if other people do this. But I kind of, it was one of those situations where like, you know, you're the outlier, so you just tell yourself like you're not gonna hear what you do, like they're not gonna tell you that they do that too.
Yeah.
You're alone, and that's okay.
It's like that podcast with the two dudes, the white guy and the light skinned dude with the fro, and he's like, the white guy's always ragging on how he does something weird, and
the one who just has almond joy in his pocket. Yeah.
That threw me off. Dude, eats almond.
It's the way he eats them, which is really the most criminal part. Like,
he was like, dude said, I hear it in your pocket. So I need you to tell the audience what you have in your pocket right now. He's like, so I like the almond joys as a little snack. And he says he eats, he puts it in his mouth, eats the chocolate off the coconut, and then spits out the nut.
Ew.
And then keeps the nut for if he wants it for later.
Bro, and they straight just be in his pockets,
and all while he's explaining this, the white guy's just like, "What is wrong with you?" And it's just hilarious. Yeah, he is a very funny individual.
Disgusting.
He is such an awkward person. He seems like a very nice dude.
Oh.
What is I forgot their names too.
That reminds me of a video I saw the other day of a gerbil. And they were putting nuts in their mouth, and the caption of the video is about how how basically their skin around that area it stretches to unseen lengths for them to be able to store food. And I'm actively watching it okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, he can't fit another one though. No, there's no way he can fit more. There's nowhere to put it. Where else is it gonna go? And I probably had the thought of there's no more room halfway to the video, for the first time. So I then spent the second minute being this is an alien. Why do we act like this is of Earth?
There's a lot of weird creatures out here.
There is. There's a lot of weird creatures, and honestly, I know science is always teaching us that every animal plays a role in the delicate balance of the greater ecosystem of the earth, and then of course of their own individual ecosystems. But no, there are strange creatures, and furthermore, there are a lot of them that just should not exist. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This might sound crazy, but I don't even think God made all of them.
He did.
I ain't even talking about on the genetic splicing, cloning type beat. I just really think certain animals did things they wasn't supposed to and linked up in ways that I'm pretty sure God was why is the anglerfish in existence? I did not make that. I didn't put a light at the front of a fish.
I'll say
with
something
all of those sharp
recently.
teeth. No, I didn't do that.
Frenchies apparently cannot breed normally, so they can't have intercourse with each other. Somebody has to extract it from the male.
Why not though? Why can't they smash
their bodies?
They don't fit.
It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. That's what he said.
Then why does it work for pugs or I guess pugs have a little bit more.
They be having to do that for a lot of different animals though. Do the same thing.
They do it, but do they have to? He's saying they physically cannot line up.
They physically cannot on their own. It does not line up. It just doesn't work.
Maybe
so,
even if the girl gets on top,
I have no idea. They didn't ask that question. That's what the dude was saying. That's crazy. If you cannot reproduce without the help of a human, and you're an animal, you as a species should not exist.
But come on, bro. I'm sure there's some humans that can't reproduce without the help of some animals.
All right, Theo Von. Anyway, because I don't know what to say to that. What's the next question?
That reminds me of the clip of him when he's talking to his homie about him going to Australia with the koalas. He was like, those things have got chlamydia, man. You need to watch your hands. Yeah, he's like, I've got some stuff too. He need to wash his hands. What?
Bruh. Oh my God.
It's oh man.
Bruh,
so
that is, oh my God, that is hilarious.
There's a lot of interesting things going on in the world right now, as there always is. Cause
I haven't been on Twitter in a month. I don't know.
Are you fasting?
I don't even know why. I think one day I just got fed up, and so
really.
I think I was I wake up and go on Twitter at 6 a.m. This is so unhealthy. So I just went cold turkey, and now I feel like
I'm gonna keep it 100.
What's going on anymore?
I still go on TikTok, but most of my going on TikTok is just to clear my notifications on TikTok. I kind of had a similar thing with TikTok because whereas Twitter is definitely the most toxic place, TikTok is not real. Like, it's the most not real of all of the social medias. Like, Twitter's up there, don't get me wrong, but like TikTok's literally not on Earth. Like, the app is alien. Like, it's not here. Like, it's not real life whatsoever. I almost think it's possible that TikTok is in the metaverse and like they found a way to like have us interact with it without being it. Like, it's so not real. And I just be on there like, amazing. No human being who's ever existed except the person I'm witness make this TikTok has ever formulated that thought. So why am I observing it? And it's always about like society based things. Like, it'd be fine if like, you know, like I oftentimes find myself while watching like Tony Stadavoce, I think is how it's pronounced, be like, bro, like no one's ever thought of this joke. Like, he's so him. Right? But like, that's like in a good way. Like, people be out here, like I was scrolling the other day and you know those people who like will be live on TikTok and like they'll have the green screen of just like a bunch of talking points and it's like you can debate them on any one of them. Yeah. One of the talking points that they had was that Goku could solo Jesus.
What?
No, Goku could solo the Bible, excuse me. And the person they were talking with was like, their argument around how Goku can't solo the Bible is Jesus. And the dude in the live is saying how Goku could beat Jesus. And one of his arguments was Goku came back from the dead more than once. Why are these conversations being had?
Wait, he had his
funny.
son called his name and he came back from the dead. So yeah. If we're talking about a fictional character that existed and did this, maybe. But this is an alien. He's an alien. That's a human. That's a monkey. That can turn into a god. That can destroy a planet. That can fight other gods. That can, bro. They don't exist. Like, Piccolo exists in this world. You telling me Piccolo is green, dog, and is the blackest person I've ever met. Yeah, well, I've never met his voice actor, but everybody knew Piccolo was black. Like,
Piccolo's
even though
black.
Everybody else was Asian, but like, yo, I don't know that.
Yeah, and it just be stuff like that. Like,
Siri, I'm not talking to you.
Even like, I said, oh, what was the other one? Oh, there was a woman who was saying how, basically her argument was she was like stating how the only way black men will get like their act together, essentially, was her type beat, was if all black women just swear off them and don't like date any black men ever. And
you want to know something so funny? That is like the testament to how women feel about things. Not as an entirety, but like a good, like the internet ideal woman. You know what I'm saying? Like how that girl tweeted, my boyfriend worked on Valentine's Day and then got into a car crash. Ooh, the universe on my side.
That one was
like,
crazy too, because I'm like,
shorty, you crazy, bro. Not to cut you off, but like this girl, you know, during Valentine's Day, some girl tweeted that her boyfriend decided to pick up a shift on Valentine's Day. He wanted to make some money instead of spending it with her. She upset about it, and then I don't know if he got into an accident that day or a few days later.
I think it was after that.
Yeah, he got into an accident, and she was just like, "See, that's what happens when you like mess with me."
Yeah,
it
was
the
big
universe.
Karmic return energy.
That type. Yeah.
That's an evil thing to say.
Not only is it an evil thing to say
about your man,
it's so the amount of hubris required, like to be like, and that's what you get.
That's
not even that's what you get. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being on my side. Like, you really ride for me. What?
It's just so interesting.
You just think the ether out here trying to...
I just be thinking people just be making stuff up for shock value.
I think so too.
I think the kids on Twitter are like 17, 16-year-olds that like peep the you know how like you just look at a tweet and you're just like, oh, this is that viral tweet template that everybody think about. Like those all the time. Like I'll go to a page and I'm like, this person is a child. Like they'll literally say something, I don't know about y'all, but if it ain't $15K in the bag, then what is it? Or something like, you know what I'm saying? Something stupid like that. Like a few days ago, some girl tweeted like, are we in high school, $20 for lunch? Like, are you serious? Or something like that. And like, it really be scaring me because I be clicking on these profiles and these girls be in the A. And I be like, yo, why do you follow 45 of the people I know? Why? Like, how are you this close to me and you think like this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though I've never seen you a day in my life. Small. It is way too small.
I feel like in Atlanta, like everyone's like probably 3 degrees of separation.
I feel like
from
it's
everyone
like
else.
Honestly,
one,
it's really,
I think one might be a lot.
In my life, it'd be one. See, it's not even funny.
I ain't gonna lie.
One person.
I've 2, 3, like a lot, and it'd be blowing me.
I think it's a solid 3. Like, and yeah, there's nothing weirder than 2 people who it's not even about you not knowing that they knew each other. It's that like they shouldn't know each other. Like it'd be people in
my walk of life. The way I met you.
Why do y'all know each other? And then the reasoning don't ever make sense. Like it's always like we've gone to the same church since we were 7. You haven't gone to church since ever. What? What are you talking about? Like it'd definitely be weird. Oh man. That all started because you were saying how you left Twitter.
Yeah.
And then I talked about how I barely be on TikTok as much. But the point that I was using that intro, to get towards, was that right now there seems to be like a lot of like, I don't want to say controversy, but for lack of a better term, controversy around things that we've already controversied in the past. And
AKA Chris Brown.
Not just him, but he is a great example because it's happening literally like 4 times in like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I've even like seen things like outside of him, like topics, other human beings, like controversy being re-controversized in different settings and avenues. And one thing that the Chris Brown like example really highlights is how it seems to be very selective on when we decide when certain things or people are controversial enough for us to re-controversy their controversy versus when we just decide to look the other way. Mm-hmm. And I think a great example, since you opened the door with the Chris Brown thing, was I seen someone tweet that they're like in like this group chat, this like Stan group chat with like a bunch of other Stan pages. And they were like, it's like over 100 Stan pages, and it's like the big ones, like Stan pages that kind of like run Twitter, and all different types of fans, all different types of everything. And of course, when Chloe made the announcement, that group chat went crazy, and they were like, they know for a fact that there are like a handful of WizKids Stan pages, and none of them said anything, like the WizKids Stan pages, while everyone was going crazy. And they, like the Stan pages, fan page that I'm seeing tweet this was like, why didn't we care when WizKid did a song with him? And no one responded. Like they said, the group chat went dead. And that's just like an example of how like the controversies, like
they
pick and choose in the moment. And sometimes that has to do with the audience, but I think a lot more than the audience. It just like is like kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the internet's gained like this weird collective conscious thing. But it's just depending on what internet community you find yourself in. And so it's like when your communities has the collective conscious to turn up, or when like just kind of the cancel community at large like spreads their arms wide and decides like, yeah, we're feeling spicy. Yeah, and what did James Franco do again? He was like, no, but he's not even in a movie. Why are we talking about him again? Because he trended like last week, and everyone was just like, yeah, and bump James Franco. And there were literally people like, but why are we talking about this again? Like, he didn't even do anything like new, or like nothing new has happened.
Yeah.
But the reason why I wanted to kind of broach this was because what I've been coming to realize is that there are a lot of people on the internet who think the internet's real. And when I say they think the internet's real, like they think that it's the only thing that's real. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that there are like people who not only
Don't think that way.
don't think that way, but don't even really subscribe to the thought process that they have to respect what you think or feel.
Yes.
And at large, one could easily just be like, and that's a flaw, right? Like, of those individuals, or of people who just decide to like, even people who like, I'll just make myself an example. Like, I still listen to Chris Brown's music. I also like am vehemently against domestic violence. And so like one of these people would be like, clearly not, you support abusers, XYZ.
Yeah.
Not understanding like that, like one, I live a life that doesn't really revolve around deciding to not listen to people often. Like, I'm not out here looking for reasons to stop listening to people. I also have an understanding that most of them don't, which is that if I decided that to consume someone's talent, I have to like find them like completely completely like morally, like I would listen to like no one, like,
yeah, literally,
because it doesn't exist
at all. Like, yeah, you can be
and there's
a
like
person.
And there's like lines.
Everybody done did
absolutely. And there's like things that like, but I think like everyone has to kind of just like decide those things for themselves and have a level of comfort with yourself. And like, there is an understand like public thing. Like, if I'm at a party and R. Kelly comes on, I'd be like, this DJ don't give a, like, he don't care at all. And I don't listen to R. Kelly anymore.
Definitely looking around like to see who, like, what the vibe is. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna bust a move. I ain't gonna say a word.
No, yeah.
Until I get, you know what I'm saying, how everybody in the party feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes folks don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? It'll be that one or two, like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? And like, if it's enough of them, I'm like, yo, what's good? Like, but you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm, you know what I'm saying? I might hum something, you feel me? That's it though.
And again, I don't listen.
I don't know how to hog down people. I don't know why, but that came up at work. Like, me and my coworker was saying that back and forth. I don't know how to hog down people.
It's probably one of the greatest contributions he's made to the world. It's just saying that.
He did not deny that the person was at the crib. They said I hog tied him.
And
I don't know how to hog tie people.
I believe that. I believe he don't know how to hog tie people. Like, I really do believe he don't know how to hog tie people. But well, kind of, I guess the thesis of what I'm kind of getting at is I feel like there's like this really big gap, kind of just like it takes place most often on the internet, but I'm seeing it seep into real life, like especially at my last job, but even just kind of in general, like in life over the past like month or two, people will just like ask me a question about like a topic that like can be controversial or can be a hot topic. Like, I had coworkers just be like, look at me, and not like really fishing to like trap me, or just look and be like, so what do you think about like this pronoun stuff? Or be like,
this is a random question.
Yes, and it's like multiple people, or like, so like, what are your views on the trans community? And I'm used to like those being asked by people trying to like gauge it, but like this is almost be people on the other end of things, like, and sometimes it's again just like really wanting to know, but like it keeps like happening. I feel like
that's odd.
It is
from coworkers that are teachers.
Well, no. It hasn't happened at my new job. It was mainly at my old job.
Okay.
Yeah. The like closest thing to like something controversial, like with my new job, was just like kind of about music. Like they asked me if I listened to someone, and I was like, I don't even remember who it was, because it wasn't Chris Brown, but it was someone else and someone who's been like trending recently. But like, no, and I was just like, I never. Oh, it was Tory. They asked me if I like a coworker asked me if I listened to Tory Lanez, and I was like, I was a big like fan of him, and like when everything first happened, I like deleted all his music out my library, and then the case was taking too long, so then I added the stuff that I already like everything from before the incident I added back, and then at some point during the trial I was like, I don't even care anymore. And then when the verdict came out, because I followed the trial myself, I was like, I agree with 2/3 of this verdict, 1/3 of it I don't, and 'tis his life. And then we move forward.
I didn't see the whole thing.
I wasn't one of the people like reading every single tweet, but I did like a really good job of keeping abreast of it, and to the point where I felt like I could gather my own like opinion and thoughts.
I feel like that wasn't going to happen for me.
But then the question I asked back to them was, do you think that listening to Tory Lanez's music is like a direct cosign of like violence against women? And they were like, well, he's in jail now, so. And that was like the end of their response, which like kind of like let me know that like, yeah, he still listens to Tory, but beyond the fact that he still listens to Tory, because I don't care if he does or not, it's like that in his brain there's a reason why it's okay for him to listen to Tory, beyond just like, I'm listening to this music because I like this music, if that makes sense. And then like even today, like Lucky Day had the situation where like he responded to a fan because the fan DM'd him like, can you please pay your child support so I can listen to your music again? And so like
so we're not listening to people because they don't pay their child support?
And so here's the thing, the line,
it's different.
There is no line, but there is these people who believe there is a line, and that's what the confusion is, right? Like if someone's like vehemently against like and like judges someone for listening to R. Kelly, it's like that dude did do a lot of sick stuff, and then like that same person's also like, yeah, and I don't listen to Lucky Day neither. That nigga just decided he wasn't gonna raise his kid, like. Right. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. What does that have to do with his R&B music? And then there's people like next to, and I listen to Giveon because he cheated on Justine. Who cares? Like, yeah, like,
I think I know.
And so it's like,
keep going.
Yeah, so
but I got it.
My whole the conversation, because I don't really have a question as much as I want to have a conversation, is, well, for one, I think all of us on this show kind of think for ourselves pretty independently, but beyond that, how does one like purvey this? How do like we live a real world life with these internet people who don't live a real world life, bringing this internet world to the real world? Because it's happening. Like these people are just asking me these buzz, you know what I mean? Like I'm feeling like I'm on a cut video. Like I'm like, oh, the cut YouTube crew is like out in the lobby, like, and you're mic'd up because why did you just ask me what do I think about trans rights? Like that, that doesn't. We were just talking about cheese pizza. Like what?
Throw me off.
So it's like it's happening. So how do what does this even look like?
I think it's like you know what I think it boils down to. I think it boils down to the fact that we're seeing, I know like there's a lot of the same type of people, you know what I'm saying? Even different people are the same as other different people, you know what I'm saying? Even though they're unique in their differentness. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, all three of them are different basketball players, but they are very, very similar, and especially Kobe and Mike. You know, Kobe and Mike. You know what I'm saying? But they are very, very similar in their differentness. You know what I mean? So like you have the people that range from all age ranges that are the same mentally, where they're easily influenced. You know what I'm saying? They weren't necessarily taught to think for themselves. They're one of the people who are sheep in the fullest sense. Like they not only do they not want to think too much for themselves, that's fine. Not only do they not want to think too much for themselves, they like hope somebody else makes the decision. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why some people are fine being workers and don't want to be a manager and don't want to take the lead because they don't know what to do for the most part. They just want to be led. You know what I'm saying? So like when they see the crowd moving, no matter how old they are, you know what I'm saying, they'll follow it. So like, you know what I'm saying, and you know, psychology is so amazing once you actually look at it and realize, oh, all the things that we learn in psychology, these are tactics that the media uses to get us to do what they want us to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to get people to riot. You want to know how to get people to riot? Make them mad, gather them all in the city and leave pallets of bricks on every corner. I guarantee you something's going to get busted. You feel me? It's that simple. You feel me? And like people are very, very predictable when it boils down.
Before you continue, I just want to say that one time, like while everything after George Floyd was happening, everybody's looting, everything's happening, I literally like had someone like look to me, a white person, and they were just like, Emmanuel, do you like know where people buy bricks? And I was like, no. And he was like, because it just seems odd to me that like all of a sudden when it's time to protest, everyone knows where bricks are.
Got bricks.
Like no one knows where to buy bricks.
Where these bricks come from, yo?
All of a sudden we all have bricks.
Who drove a truck of bricks down from Home Depot?
And I straight up said, I was like, what are you probably playing about an FBI, just like guns in the inner cities?
Literally.
And they like laughed because they didn't know that like that was a thing. So then I had to explain to them that the FBI literally does leave crates of guns in like
funny. I mentioned
urban
that
jungles, you know. But and then it was just like, oh my god, and having one of those like,
White
I didn't know Lady
realizing-
Antebellum was a bad name moments was like, I don't care. But I just, you saying that just like reminded me, was like,
Having
yeah,
that,
like, bro,
another
like
crazy moment in Black history.
people be like,
bro, we know that. We know
having
that,
the
bro.
bricks.
Right.
But
yeah,
continue.
be pallets. Like, just be pallet. Like literally, bro. Somebody drives off of a somebody drives with a forklift and just lowers a pallet of bricks, literally just smack dab in the middle of the city. And it's like, I remember I saw that. Like somebody had posted a picture of it and was like, see, this is what they're doing. They're trying to get us to trying to get people not to ride it. You know what I'm saying? And this was here. You feel me? In Atlanta. This was during that time. Like we had just started the Ego Pod. The first day we like did our first official episode was the first night they rioted. Because I remember Jarvis was talking like, nah man, it's a lot of black, you know what I'm saying? They ain't really gonna riot here, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of black owned stuff that down in Atlanta. They ain't really gonna do that. And we finished the episode, pulled out our phones, and he was like, oh, I was wrong. And boy, they was going dumb. And it's just like, but yeah, back to it's like, I feel like what it all really boils down to is like that sense of, one, I don't want to be left out, and two, like it makes me look good to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like that sense of validation, that sense of you know, being able to have pride in yourself, but you don't have yourself. You know what I'm saying? But you want the pride. You know what I'm saying? You still feel like you should, like, that's why it's like, oh,
That's a crazy concept
I don't
right there.
live. What? Like you listen to that person? That person does this, that, and that. Like you're
self-righteousness.
right. Like what does that say about you when you listen to this person? It's like, bro, I just like the music. Like I can, you know, I understand like art. Yeah, like I like art. You feel me? And this expression at the time, I might relate to it. It might have helped me. You know what I'm saying? Like I hold a sentiment to it. You know what I'm saying? Like the way. You know, the way they say everything is energy and stuff like that. They don't explain it the right way, but yes, everything is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see light in waves. You know what I'm saying? If I hit water, it moves in waves and ripples. You know what I'm saying? Sound, when we record sound, you know what I'm saying? The reason why you see a waveform the way it is, that was literally the electricity pumping from the needle, pumping from the microphone, and, you know what I'm saying, coming from our vocal cords, and it would etch into, you know what I'm saying, the vinyl, what it looked like. So when you zoomed in enough, that's what those waveforms are. You know what I mean? And like you see that on the computer screen when you record, everything is in waves. You know what I'm saying? Even what we think, and we all know that we live in a multi-dimensional plane. So like there's, you know, I often talk about, like I use this example all the time when I tell this. It's like we are literally this. We are a flesh supercomputer. You know what I'm saying? Like this. Outer casing is your flesh. You feel me? The software inside is your spirit. That's you. That's what makes you. That's what makes you tick. That's like you know what buttons you have, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. That's your spirit. Yeah, your software. You know what I'm saying? This software is designed by Apple. You know what I'm saying? Windows phones have Windows. You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. And the electricity in it is your soul. That's what powers you and allows you to, you know, live and move and feel and be sentient in this space. When you die, your soul leaves your body. You know what I'm saying? Like your spirit and all goes with it, but like your soul is what drives this. It's very physical. You feel me? So like the way things hit somebody's ears, you know what I'm saying? Like the way, like everything is charged with energy, like your intention, you know what I'm saying? That's where like, you know, sin and stuff comes in, like your intention. 100%, you could be put in a situation where like you didn't put yourself in that position, but something happened out of your control and you're in a position to where you ended up sinning. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that is, yes, that still is a sin, but it's different if like, you know, I go out with the intention, this is gonna happen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because if I set in my mind that it's gonna happen and then I carry out the action, even though I had every opportunity from the thought to the action to stop. You feel me? That's where, you know, it gets more tricky and more like, you know, a little deeper. But like nowadays we're being bred to like, especially younger kids. Like they are dumb, like actually, like, and I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because it's on purpose. Like, we are losing something in the younger generation. I do not know what it is, but intelligence wise, we are losing the younger generation. I had a young kid. It might be. I had a kid who was working with me for a few months. He had a situation with his parents, and he moved from Florida up to live up here with a family friend and their daughter, which this is something I learned about white people, because when black kids act up, they get sent to their grandparents. They put this girl in her own apartment, and she is now a functioning out. Well, I don't want to say functioning. She is now a full-fledged alcoholic, according to her roommate, which was my coworker. And a lot of the stuff that he was dealing with, he was talking to me about. And I was like, yeah, bro, that's what happens when you're dealing with an addict. And on top of that, she's in an abusive relationship, and she just would bring that home and all this type of stuff. So he definitely was. I could tell in our conversations, he was like getting to the point where he was like, dang, being at home and dealing with whatever my parents was getting on me about was way easier than dealing with this. So he definitely tucked tail and left, and didn't tell us nothing until the day he left, which blew me, because it's just like, bruh, you could have easily just told Dave, like, look, it is what it is, I gotta go home, and Dave would have been like, all right, holla at you, post your thing right back on the internet. But until we couldn't do that until he sent that letter of resignation. But this young man almost had a heart attack while we were working, and the reason why he almost had a heart attack while we were working was because he jokingly mentioned to us, like, one morning I just noticed, I'm like, yo, Tom, dang, I didn't mean to say his name. I'm like, yo, bro, like, why you so alert? Like, you're never this awake in the morning. Like, you good? He's just like, yeah, man, I took some pre-workout this morning. Da, 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 da. I'm just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, so you booted up right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, just joking with him. But because of the simple fact that he just didn't have a real sleep schedule, he just wasn't, he wasn't taking care of his body the right way. He's taking pre-workout multiple times a day. Not working out. Just taking it. Because of the energy it gives him. He gets to the point where he almost he was standing like this. I'm like, yo, you good? Because we was moving something, and like, in my mind, I'm like, he's doing that thing he does where he just sits there and watches us. But I'm looking, I'm like, yo, you all right? He's like I can't move, bro, like my stomach, da da da. So I take him home, because he lived a little bit close. Dave had told me, just take him home, and, you can come back, we'll put this up, and then that's the day. So that's what happened. And he went to the hospital that night, and they gave him something. They gave him like IV and fluids, and they were telling him like, yo, you was about to be gone, brother. Like, you can't just take, like, we were literally, we were telling him like, yo, you do know that pre-workout is close to meth. Like, it's very much a narcotic, bro. Like, and
none of that stuff is regulated.
Yeah, like if any of the companies can just slap a FDA approved thing on it, you have to go to GNC and get that federal label on 3 federal labels that are on that bottle. That is the only ones that have been properly tested and are safe to take, even though they're still not safe to take. You know what I'm saying? Like, safe to take while you're using it properly. Yeah. He just was popping it, and like, how are you 18?
Do you know if he was snorting it?
He probably could have been. He very much could have been, because I'm not gonna act like he.
I know I don't really know him very well, but I know like textbook definition gym bro. Mm-hmm. And while he was in, no, he doesn't anymore. But it's because he overdosed on pre-workout. Yeah. But yeah, he used to snort it, and then
oh my gosh,
he had his overdose, and then he had another situation happen, because he also does drugs. Lord
Jesus.
Yeah, and like that kind of like put him on the shelf, because they literally were like, your heart like right now can't take you working out, so you can't like work out for like the next like 2-3 months or whatever. And it like made him like reevaluate a lot of things, so he would say. But I don't know if he's back on drugs and back on like snorting pre-workout, but he's back gym broing. And like, again, this isn't just like someone who like goes to the gym. Like, he's a douchebag. He doesn't have a brain. Like it's just iron. It's just plates. Like that's who he is. So,
Right.
But yeah, that's why I was asking. I was just like,
I feel like I don't know, bro. I feel like I don't want to say it could have been the pandemic for him, but he was 16 when the pandemic happened. So I don't know. Was he already too far gone? Maybe. But like,
you never know what people's triggers are gonna be, though.
That's a fact.
And then they just they go down a dark hole.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he also was on drugs. So I don't know how many. I don't know how many at one point. I know he was trying to. I know he was 100% trying to get off of the USB
the jewels.
vapes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
the little pod,
bro. I didn't actually see him do it too often at work. So you know, so
if he wasn't doing it at work, then he must have. He already in a better place than most of the people I know.
That's what I was saying. But he did also smoke cigs, so you know.
Well, he's Caucasian. I assumed that when you said he was white.
For sure.
No disrespect. Black people smoke cigarettes too.
Right, but you know, y'all start early.
That was hilarious. Not y'all start early.
But yeah, man, it's we're getting into the age where the younger generation and the older generation who were wishing when they were younger, you know what I'm saying, are now getting to a point where they can fulfill the fantasy that they have of themselves. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they don't have anything else but this. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a direct link and correlation between how depressed you are and how much you use social media. Like I remember learning that in high school.
But I don't even think it's so bad that like the people who are crazy on the internet have like their own set of opinions that they subscribe to. I think it's just that they feel like everybody else has to subscribe to this same set of opinions that they have. But it's also because when you think about it, just as many people are disagreeing with them on Twitter, it's just that many people who are agreeing with them and saying, yeah, you're absolutely right.
No,
like,
yeah. These communities exist.
Right.
Like
so then when they go out and they're talking to regular people, they're like, I don't know
they come
why
in
you
with
don't
the
believe
validation that they had on their phone last night.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting 800.
But I don't think that's just
retweets.
an internet thing. That's just a people thing.
Yeah.
You got crazy people who never go on the internet who believe hardcore and whatever the heck they want to subscribe to, and they
and that is true.
Live like that.
I think what the internet's done for people is made it really easy to find your people.
Yeah, made it easy
and
to
then
be
it's made
a
it
follower.
possible for you to shut out the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
And I think before, like, you still had to like live, and so you kind of just naturally were going to be surrounded, like, you know what I mean, you couldn't make your existence
Exactly
your
what you
little
wanted to,
niche subset of the world. And now you can so much to the point where you start to think, you know, I've been finding myself recently meditating on this quote, not meditating, but like it keeps popping into my mind. And it's like something that, like, at first I was like, I keep thinking it because I really want to travel this year. Like I want to see things that I haven't seen, but I've been seeing it like apply in other places that I wasn't expecting. And it kind of does in this conversation. It's like the world is bigger than the block. Like, and so many people, like, unfortunately, like, you know, when we talk about like the origin of that phrase or that quote, and it being like us or mainly black people, but just funded, underprivileged people who so often don't see outside of the city they grew up in, like the state they grew up in. So many of them, literally the neighborhood, like they went to every school they went to here and every job they worked here, and from birth to death, like they lived in this square of the world, and so this became the world, and so they think it's the world. And there's just like a virtual version of that happening. But whereas that person who geographically was kind of gridlocked and doesn't really understand that the world is bigger than the block, their real life is only that. But with the internet, like, they're taking this world that they have that's virtual, and they're trying to like paint the real world like that. And I think what I've been finding very interesting is when you see oftentimes when like you're looking at like videos of like individuals like spewing their opinions on things, specifically when it's like debate style, like especially on these podcasts and stuff, there's like someone who's like really well spoken and really good at debating, and then there's like people who aren't, like who they're debating with, and so it's kind of just designed to drive home one point of view. And I saw a clip the other day on TikTok, ironically, despite I don't be on there that often, of like two people who are really good at arguing. And like, it's two men. One of them's a gay man and one of them's a straight man. And the straight man, literally everything he's saying sounds like he took it out of like Incel Misogyny Woman Haters Club 1101. But he was really well spoken and was able to say things in a way that like made it sound hot, especially to someone who's like young and impressionable and doesn't understand and maybe has some traumas or has some deep-seated connection or allegiance to those feelings. And then this gay man who's arguing against him is also really well spoken. And then there's this other person who's like kind of being a mediator but not really. They're like also a part of the debate. They're just like not saying as much. And their point at the end of the TikTok was that they think that both of them are wrong, but they think that what's going to happen when people see like the episode is that of their like podcast is that the people who like came in kind of leaning in one way or completely leaning in one way are going to be emboldened and fortified in that way, and the people who came in leaning the other way are going to be completely emboldened and fortified in that way because you guys like make it sound good. It's like, but you're both like very wrong. Like y'all both say like very harmful, stereotypical bad things about you about women and you about men, specifically men of color, and you're not a man of color, and because the gay dude was white.
That would have blew me.
And like, but that war of words, if you will, like
it's the battle of hot takes. The quote, who's better, who's got the better quote.
And what I be finding very interesting a lot of times, like right now, y'all know the scene from Tangled when Flynn Rider, like they have all of those knives pointed at him, and so that's making its rounds right now with people using different things, whatever your hot take is, like, and Twitter, literally, this is like the 99th iteration of the template for getting your hot takes off since I joined Twitter, and that was only like 11 years ago. Nevertheless, I just keep seeing so many people say things that are not hot takes, and like might have been hot takes at one point. Like it was one about like your black movie opinion, and it was like basically someone saying how Love and Basketball isn't the love story that like people prop it up to be. And it's like, if you would have said this in like 2009 when Emmanuel first started saying it, it would be a hot take because I had to argue with everyone under the sun that Love and Basketball was trash. But now so many people have done it that at least 40% of the world is like, Love and Basketball. Like our culture is no longer at the place that this is not the hot take that you think it is. You want a hot take? You join me on the Best Man franchise is terrible, and then in 30 years when everybody agreed, I don't think the whole franchise is actually terrible. I haven't seen the last chapters.
Yeah, I ain't seen the last one.
And I think The Best Man Holiday is a good film. I think it's executed well, despite the fact that literally on the opening credits I said Mia's gonna die of cancer, and then it happened. But I think The Best Man is a terrible movie, not because necessarily the movie is that bad, but because every single character in it is completely non-redeemable and deplorable. And yet, if everyone in our culture like knew that and was like, but we love it despite that, or we love it because of that, even, I'm fine with that. But that's not the case. They think there are good people in here, or people who like just made bad. Every person in that film sucks. Like they're bad people. Like they're
terrible. Love and Basketball?
No, and The Best Man. Like they're all like,
there was a lot of trash.
They're like so like they're all like. I literally came into the house the other day, and like the end of it was happening when Terrence Howard's like putting a guard on Shorty and everything, and I'm just like, why did y'all fight so hard for all these relationships? Like all y'all fought so hard for these friendships, romances. None of these are good or fruitful. And you just made another movie at Christmas to prove it, because everybody pulled up like, oh man, we so happy to be together. And then Mia had to die of cancer for anyone to get along, and that lasted like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't seen the last chapters, but I'm sure there's just more of that. Like,
all the clips I saw, they was arguing.
Like, no, they're not. Like, and like, don't get me wrong. Like, you can absolutely like have. What do you love?
I think they love the actors.
I agree that people love the actors,
but I think they love the actors like in the later chapters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what's saving that. You feel me? Like, the, like now that Terrence Howard is Terrence Howard, now that you know what I'm saying? I don't
know. I feel like when the Best Man came out, they like
they were, but like, you know, now they have their longevity along with it. You know what I'm saying? They have their resume attached with it. Yeah.
Trying to evolve.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we like looking at old movies and realizing like, dang, this came out when they were this age and now they're old, but like I just haven't noticed it because I was, you know, linearly going with them.
Right.
But it's like I forgot what movie I was watching. I'm like, yo, this is an old movie. Because the lead actor was somebody who I've literally seen in the movie probably a few days before. Mm. I think it was Denzel. It was Deja Vu. I watched Deja Vu. I said, bro, dog was young.
I had a similar experience with Denzel recently. I wasn't watching the movie, but I was scrolling through like one of my many streaming services, and it's a movie that I didn't know he was in. Like, he's not top billing, but like, he, you know, I'm seeing the picture of him, and I literally just said out loud, man, he been doing this for so long. Yeah. And then I was like, really like having the thought of like how long, and so I was like, okay, Glory came out. What was that? 1980 what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up because like this like is the type of Boy I'm Good, 1989. That's like the year I thought in my head. I don't think I said that, but Glory came out in 1989. Denzel won his first Oscar for Glory, a movie that came out in 1989.
That's crazy.
It's 2023. He's still acting. Mm-hmm. Very well too. Yeah. Do you know how long ago 1989 was?
Before we were born.
That was before Quavo was born.
Why Quavo?
Because
literally, why Quavo?
91. I just whenever I think of anything within a 2-year span of 91 going backwards, I just immediately go to Quavo.
Quavo is your timestamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's 91. That's like the beginning of the 90s for me, in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I think 89 is the beginning of millennials, if I'm not mistaken.
It might be.
I think it goes from 89.
I never pay attention to the
90,
generation
to 95, because they often like it depends on where you look, but we're either the tail end of millennials or the beginning of Gen Z, and that's why I feel like anybody born from 96 to 99. I feel like anybody born from 96, not even 99, 96 and 98, certain point in 98. Like, we have no ideological group.
I agree that
we're not Gen Zs. I am not.
Yeah, and
I've never thought about eating a Tide Pod. Do not call me no Gen Z.
And that's the point.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, they group us by ideology.
Gen Z, like the true Gen Zers, and
that's
not us.
And that's the thing. Like,
you can't call me that. Like, that was disrespectful. You don't even know.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, because we do exist in this weird liminal space when it comes to like this generational culture thing, because we do have a very, I feel like, defined culture. It is just not defined within the generation that we're like.
It's like a transitional definition, if that makes sense. Because like we're the last to have a childhood like those before us. But our teenage years was those that came after the inception of social media. For
sure.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like we got it in its infancy and turned it into what it is today.
It is, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like we have a strange.
Look at this. You see this? We did this. This didn't exist before we got here.
No, you got to put the phone in the hand. None of this existed before us. That was so hilarious, bro. Because his voice was bad high. Look at this. You see this?
He was really emotional, bro.
Oh, God, he was. But Drake, though, have like a deep voice. Have y'all seen the clips with him and Yachty?
Yeah.
Bruh.
I've seen some of them. And I've seen a lot of clips with him and Caleb.
They was having... I ain't gonna lie. Yachty was having me dying. When he said something about how, like Drake was talking about people who like wake up and just immediately fill the room with business phone noise. And he was just talking about how like that's rude.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting. And then Yachty said something about like women. He's like, you know, like insinuated, yeah, women do that sometimes, like, because he said it's, you know, first thing in the morning in the bedroom, you know what I'm saying? So he said, right, he was like, well, yeah, people, and he was like, and he was like, Drake was like, nah, I just was like trying to like not have you put like women, and he was just like, nah, bro, I said women, and you like made it a point to say people, dog. He was just like, all right, whatever. But I'm just like, yo, he did catch you, bro. You could have just let that slide. You could have just. I don't know why he tried to save him. Like it was like, Yachty literally just said like a few sentences earlier, like I don't like women. Like women just be too much. He didn't say I don't like women. He was just like women be blowing me. But that was hilarious, and I don't know why, but like watching some of those clips, the way Drake was just talking is just like this can't be the same man who made Back on Side Boys.
What's happening?
John Morant got arrested for real?
No, that would have been hilarious.
Solomon was screaming about that.
Not that him getting arrested would be hilarious, but that if you would have got that right. That,
like and I looked at it and like in my head I'm like, that's definitely fake, but he thought it was real. I'm like, bro, get your phone out.
Yeah, I knew he didn't get arrested, but it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
especially because when I saw the follow up and it was like, yeah, he punched the kid 11 to 12 times.
Yeah, that was wild.
Hey,
then flashed the gun. I said, and then you saw them pull up his old tweet. Or it was like, it's free to feel hollows or something.
Bro,
I was like, yo,
somebody tried to compare Ja to AI. I want to smack that man. I'm like, yo,
like hoop wise or personality
he
wise?
was all of it. Like he was saying, like the same thing happened to AI. I was like, bro, AI was a thug. He wasn't pretending.
Why did you throw the thug word at that?
Like I shouldn't say thug because I feel like thug has a very negative connotation.
It only has there's nothing.
But gangster can be cool. He was gangster. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He came from that. Like that's where he was brought up. Newport News is one of the worst neighborhoods in America. Yeah, I don't even know where John Morant from.
He's from South Carolina.
I don't know where in South Carolina. I just know that it ain't that many hoods that exist outside.
It might be North Cac. No, I think it's South Cac.
I think it is.
Yeah, because he be at the whatchamacallit games.
Gamecocks?
Yeah, Gamecock games.
That's crazy. But yeah, it's just like I'm like, first of all, and then AI came into the league and stopped. Like not stopped as it, but he wasn't like perpetrating. You feel me? They were attacking him. Yeah, they were looking for stuff to find.
He wasn't to like popping his stuff in the sense of like on that type of timing. Which is something that I think that I love Ja as a talent, and I also love Ja's personality. I do think
I did when he was just on live taking shots.
I even still love it now. I just agree with the rest of the world that it's annoying now, and I also think that sometimes even if you own the horses, you gotta hold them. And when you know you really haven't won anything, you haven't even seen a conference finals yet.
You beat Steph in the playing game, or almost beat them. They beat them, didn't they?
They beat them in the play-in game the year that like it was just Steph. Yeah. And then
it's not even a feat.
and
still had to claw.
No, yeah,
that was a good game. I remember that. I think I was at your crib watching it.
Probably. But they're just like they're in. The problem is that Ja's energy has permeated through the Memphis Grizzlies, which usually happens when you have a leader. Yeah. But now you have like Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks like popping like they Timothy St. Daniels, and they're not. And Dylan Brooks is a dirty player, so it's like now it just looked like you talk about hurting people and he try to end careers. Like I don't want to go to Memphis no more. Like y'all really are trying to whoop that trick. Like
I seen the clip. I forgot who they were talking to. I don't know if it was Amari or Gilbert. I think it was Gilbert. But he was like, it was just a short, I think. But he was like, yo, you know another place that needs a vet? Memphis. And I think this was like way before, you know what I'm saying, like all the stuff like that's happening now. I think it's had to have been like sometime like I think the interview was sometime last year, but like early last year. But like he was just he was naming like teams that like need a vet to not necessarily like. I think with Memphis, the only thing he was talking about was just like you know, behavior. Like they need to understand. Like they just need to know that like yo, like y'all do understand that you are looked at by an entire city and also an entire nation. Like you are the leading. Like you were the best player on a team that like is important in America. Memphis is not a city that people don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like yes, it's got its problems, but I was on both sides, so I saw this is Memphis, and like yeah, we in Cordova. You know what I'm saying? Like we where the white folks roam at. But then I go right back to Frazier, where my homie lived, where the high school down the street got bars on the windows. And, you know, I knew I was safe, so I wasn't worried.
Not to school.
But, you know, that's I feel like I said this before, but that school was in a documentary. And I knew that they was hood because they couldn't even let them shake hands at the end of the game because they were just going to fight because they lost.
Oh my
God. And I'm like, I know plenty of schools that were like that. Central beat us once and almost fought us.
Like they say, yeah, we still got that aggression.
But and I tell you why. This was ninth grade when we had already got the number 1 seed and Coach Tarantino just let like a lot of the bench players play. You remember Josh Miller? You know how like he was just shoot three, talk from the bench. This man shot a 3 in somebody's face, made it sit. And so from then it was over with. And it was funny because Coach Tarantino left me on the court because it was like, you know, the 4 garbage time, but like me. So like there was some order out there. So like I'm witnessing all of this and I'm like feeding him the ball. Like I'm not shying away from it. Like I'm running plays. Like I'm letting him come spot up. I'm throwing it to it. Like I'm playing out here. Like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And somehow, some way, all of them was mad at us, bro. And we start dapping up at the end of the game, and dudes was just ready to hook. And I'm just like, bro, I remember making it to the end of the bench because I was like in the front of the line. I remember making it back to the end of the bench, and I hear somebody chirping behind me, and I turn around, and dudes just like, yeah. I'm like, bro, what are you mad for? Like, y'all won. I'm just like, bro, we gonna see y'all in the championship. Just save it for the championship. So, and we ended up seeing the championship and winning, which was lit. Unfortunately, that dude that I was talking to passed away a few years ago. He drowned in Lake Lanier. That was I know that was a crazy segue, but
it was a crazy segue. Your laugh
I remember
was crazy,
who it was.
But I also want to say that I had like so many different reactions. Like you said, he unfortunately passed away, and I'm like, and then you said he drowned, and I'm like really perturbed. And then you said in Lake Lanier, and unfortunately, all of the like,
oh my God,
feel bad left my body, and so then I'm just like,
but he wasn't swimming. He was jet skiing and fell off.
You jet skiing in Lake Lanier?
Yeah, something like that.
Rest in peace to that young man.
Oh
for sure.
He
was a good point guard.
Okay.
The reason why I did make that face so that the people have a bit of conclusion was because I realized that the next podcast episode we shoot, the Oscars will have happened. Oh. And so I'm going to make y'all listen to me talk about it.
Again.
I'll watch it so I have a knowledge of what you're watching.
March 12th.
About to say.
Mm-hmm. Sunday, March 12th. I'm currently in the midst of my Oscars challenge. Doing pretty well. I got like 7 movies left, so bit of crunch. This is really the only reason why there's crunch is because I'm gonna make content, and so I want to finish with enough time to make the content, release the content, all of that.
That's where we at.
Bye. Not even gonna outro this one. Just bye.